Hey guys, it's Brian here. We've started a new Facebook group, and you are all invited. Just search for the Grand Canyon Hiker Dude Show, and we'll let you in, and you can join in on the conversation or ask questions or share your experiences of all things Grand Canyon. That's the Grand Canyon Hiker Dude Show Facebook group. Please join today. Now on to the show. A North Rim adventure and some Canyon Q&A. My name is Brian Special, and this is the Grand Canyon Hiker Dude Show presented by Bright Angel Outfitters. A variety of topics today, including rim-to-rim strategies, and even my heated reaction to the subject of wearing headphones while hiking the canyon. It's all coming up, as well as a training tip from Coach Arnie and so much more. This is the place for your Grand Canyon information and inspiration, and it would not be possible without the support of Bright Angel Outfitters, the company my wife and I founded to serve the Grand Canyon hiker and more. You can go to brightangeloutfitters.com to check out tons of free content, including the Grand Canyon Shade Tracker and our free ebook, and also have a look at our 22-liter Rim-to-Rim Pack, which is the day pack we designed with the canyon hiker in mind. It features 6 front pockets and pouches, which are total game changers, and also a fully insulated hydration compartment to keep everything cold. Please check it out at brightangeloutfitters.com. All right, a few weeks back, I did an episode called I Hiked Rim to Rim in 109 degrees so you don't have to. But the hike itself was only part of the story. My wife, Zeena, who's also the co-founder of Bright Angel Outfitters, was there for support. She dropped me off at South Kaibab and then made the 4+ hour drive to meet me on the north side. So I thought it would be fun to have Zeena on to talk about that experience. It's interesting to hear the spouse's perspective on what they're thinking as we're trudging through the canyon. And Zeena also tells the story of her mule ride below the rim. And she also pulled some questions so we could do a little canyon Q&A. Here now is that conversation on the Grand Canyon Hiker Dude Show presented by Bright Angel Outfitters. Okay, sitting in our house here in Cave Creek, Arizona. It's about 112 degrees outside today. We're looking at Black Mountain, which is where myself and Coach Arnie and a bunch of us do our training for the Grand Canyon. And I'm sitting here with the better half of me and of Bright Angel Outfitters, and that is my wife, the beautiful Zeena Speciale.
Hi, guys.
Well, I thought that we would have Zeena on today. Well, not only is she, like I said, the better half of Bright Angel Outfitters and the Grand Canyon Hiker Dude Show, and of me personally, but we just had a Grand Canyon experience, and she's been on a lot of Grand Canyon experiences with me. We just got back from a trip to the North Rim, where I had completed the rim-to-rim that I talked about, the one I did a couple weeks back at 109 degrees, which was maybe not the greatest idea, but I wanted to see how I handled the heat. And Zeena dropped me off at the South Rim, and then she drove around to the North Rim to meet me. And how long is that drive?
4 hours.
4 hours. Can you believe that it's like 8 miles as the crow flies from the South Rim to the North Rim, but it's a 4-hour drive? What kind of drive is it?
It's actually quite beautiful, but it's just it's crazy to see it on the map, to see where I drop you off and where I'm going to pick you up. And it looks like so incredibly close, but the route that I have to take on Google Maps goes all the way around.
Yeah.
But I love that drive up to the North Rim. It's like, I love the Vermilion Cliffs,
yeah.
Marble Canyon. It's a gorgeous drive.
It's so unique. I mean, it's unique to almost any place that you can find in the United States outside of the desert Southwest, like that part of Arizona, and I guess the southern part of Utah as well. But it's just, those cliffs go on and on and on. You just don't see that anywhere else.
It's incredible.
Spiritual kind of thing, isn't it?
It's got beautiful energy over there.
Yeah.
And so I feel like it just amazes me every time, even though I've done it so many times now. And
then you get past Marble Canyon, you cross over the Navajo Bridge there, and you work your way up into the pines, because the North Rim is it's above 8,000 feet. So it's way the heck up there. You get into the pine trees, and the whole like landscape just changes.
Jacob Lake is my favorite part. I love that stop.
Because of the cookies.
I love the cookies. They're amazing. And it's just a really, right after you get out of those cliffs and you get into the pines, it's just really beautiful stopping to smell the air. It's really special. Yeah,
we stop at Jacob Lake all the time. We stay there sometimes overnight. It's 45 miles from the North Kaibab Trailhead and where the Grand Canyon Lodge is on the North Rim. But it's right where the gate closes for the winter. It's closed from the North Rim itself is closed October 15th to May 15th. The road stays open until December 1st or unless it's closed for snow earlier. But that happens right there at Jacob Lake. And they've got just a quaint little, I'd call it a motor lodge. It's like it's in the 50s almost. Like nothing's changed. You go in there, you get your, they got a place to, you get your little cabin. They got a place to eat, a little restaurant, and they've got their famous cookies that people like to stop on the way to and from the North Rim. But then you take the 45-mile drive from Jacob Lake to the North Kaibab Trailhead, and that's essentially when you get into the park. Man, now you want to talk about otherworldly beauty and otherworldly wildlife that you don't really see anywhere else.
We've seen some we just had some amazing, incredible animal encounters while we've been at the North Rim.
Like what?
The bison. That was incredible. And I thought they were there just for me when I did the drive by myself because nobody else was around. And so I guess there's just this little clearing where they all come out right around sunset. And I pulled my car over off to the side and I was able to just view them at a distance. But there are about 30 bison, little babies and parents. It was really, really beautiful. And then we saw them again on the way out. So I guess they weren't there just for me.
And it's just on this 2-lane winding road. It's just so idyllic. It's they're in this giant meadow. Away from the trees, out in the open, and the tall grass and the wildflowers. And there's just a giant herd of them. And it is the coolest thing. People pulling off to the side of the road, taking pictures. And, man, that's so cool. You don't get that on the South Rim. And because of just the remote nature of the North Rim, it just adds to the uniqueness and the specialness, I guess, of the North. I should know it's not specialness. I don't think that's a word. Considering our last name is Special, I should probably know that, but I don't. But anyway.
They seemed so unbothered, too. They seemed so unbothered by people stopping and observing them. It's like they didn't seem skittish at all.
Pretty used to it. Mm-hmm. And then you get to Grand Canyon Lodge. So at this point, I'm trudging my way through the canyon, and Zeena is checking into Grand Canyon Lodge on the North Rim. If you get a chance to stay at the Grand Canyon Lodge, that is the place to stay on the North Rim, in my opinion. The only other options are Jacob Lake Inn, like we talked about, 45 miles away, and Kaibab Lodge, which is about 12 miles outside of the park and away from the trailhead. But when you stay at Grand Canyon Lodge, I mean, it's right there on the rim. There are trails all around it. It's in the pines, and it is, again, it's stuck in time. And remember, we looked when we were up there the day after, and the font on the that says Grand Canyon Lodge on the sign above it. It's like, man, that looks it just looks kind of out of place. But then we went in and we looked at some of the old pictures, the historic pictures that they have in the lodge, and that's the font that they were using 100 years ago. So they're just not changing anything. It's so cool. Absolutely. What kind of vibe do you get up there?
I feel like it's definitely the most interesting place if you've got some time to kill, got some time to spend. It's very peaceful. It's very quiet. It was really awesome when I was there because they were having a star party at the lodge. And so
because the skies are so dark.
Yeah, I wasn't sure what a star party was, but I just went out there because I knew you weren't going to be done for a couple more hours. And I went out there and there were probably about 30 different telescopes and everyone just communing together, enjoying the night sky, and it was just a really lovely experience.
Did you get to look at any of the telescopes?
I did.
What'd you see?
Well, we saw. I don't remember what I saw.
You saw something you'd never seen before, though.
Yes.
But you don't remember.
I don't remember.
Okay. Well, at least you're honest.
It was more about the experience and the gathering.
You could have said, "Oh, look at that Andromeda galaxy that I saw. It was so incredible," or "I saw the rings of Saturn." But no, you're just going to go with.
I don't remember.
You don't remember. All right, fair enough. So that night, so Zeena hangs around. She gets our room, and then that night, man, I don't know if you guys heard it or not, but I did that podcast a few weeks ago. I hiked rim to rim at 109 degrees, so you don't have to. And boy, I struggled that last 1.7 miles after Supai Tunnel. Got myself a little bit sick, had some vomiting sessions, and then I met Zeena at the top, at the end of it all. And I had a message I had to pass along from some other hikers who were having a really, really rough time. They'd been out there like 16, 18 hours, and I had to pass a message along to their spouse who was waiting for them and had been waiting for them for hours and hours.
This is at like midnight.
This is like, yeah, it was, I think it was after, I think it was like, yeah, midnight, 1 o'clock, something like that. It was late. But that guy had been waiting for his party for hours, and they were still, when I passed the message to him, because there's no way to communicate in the canyon, right? So they told me to pass along this message to the guy in a green Bronco. So I found the green Bronco sitting there, and I was able to tell him, hey, your wife and her friend they're back there, but I would say they're, 1 to 4 hours behind me still, that they still have to go. And he's like, oh, thank you so much. I was so worried. I already called for, the emergency services, and they had to talk me off the ledge. Because the reality is this stuff happens, it happens pretty much every day where it takes them so much longer than they expect. And that was a day where it was scorching hot. And man, if you're not prepared and you haven't done your research and you don't know what you're getting into, hiking rim to rim and those kind of conditions, that's what can happen in a best case scenario. In a worst case scenario, we know that much worse things can happen. But what is that like? He was experiencing that, not really understanding what was going on or having no frame of reference to where they might be or how much longer it might be or what might have happened to them. What's that like as a spouse? Because you've done this with me plenty of times now. And what's that like when your spouse is out there in the wilderness, essentially not able to communicate, and they're out there for hours and hours and hours? What is that like? Because we don't think anything of it really. We're just enjoying the hike, and we just assume nothing's going to happen to us when we're hiking. But the spouse who's out there waiting, what is that like?
I have to say it's harder when I'm up there with you. Because when I'm, if I'm still in Phoenix and you go up there, I've got my own stuff going on here. And so I don't really, I'm not really getting anxiety about it or anything like that. But when I'm doing that drive, and it's really all I can do is drive. And then when I get up to the North Rim, I'm, there's no service. So there's not a whole lot of you can't really do stuff on your phone. So you're really just alone with your thoughts. And you start to think, oh, what could happen? And of course, you're doing all these podcasts about death and despair in the canyon. and then I know you're going to do it in insane heat, and better, but it's kind of hard because as your wife, I'm freaking out. But as a business owner, I'm like, ooh, this will be great content.
Right.
So it goes both ways.
It does.
But there is a lot of, just having to not go to that worst case scenario in my mind, not feeding into that energy and those thoughts. But there's a lot of time to kill. But luckily, it's one of the most beautiful places in the world. So,
well, at the end of the day, I had that bad experience this last time where it ended poorly. But, I had an even worse experience about a year ago now, coming up South Kaibab when, man, that was tough. That was another podcast a long time ago. But what was it like from your perspective when I surfaced? I guess both times, because they were kind of similar. Mm-hmm. And I got a lot of experience in the canyon, and I do a lot of training for the canyon. And I'm 51 years old now, and I consider myself to be keep myself in good shape, and I'm ready to do a rim to rim at a moment's notice. That's kind of my baseline now. However, I still run into trouble myself. So what is it like? I've said it all, the throwing up and the nauseousness and the nausea and not having, not being able to eat, not wanting to drink, just all the struggles that I think all of us have at one point or another. But what's that like from your perspective when you finally see me at the end of a hike like that?
Well, it's a side of you that I never see any other time.
No.
In our 5 years of marriage, you rarely ever get sick. And seeing you come out of the canyon is the sickest I ever see you in those 2 times when it's been really bad. Yeah. Because, it's like you've got the flu or something. You can barely walk without, well, you seem like you're 30 years older than you are when you come out because you can barely walk. You're gagging. You've got the chills. You get really restless. You don't know what you want. And so I think I was annoying you because I was talking too much.
Well, I feel bad because Zeena's a very affectionate person and is not shy with hugs and things like that. And this last time was the second time where, I came out and she's waiting for me and she just comes up to give me a hug and I'm just essentially like, no. No, I just want to get in the freaking car and get out of here, and I might puke again. So, let's go. So I do feel bad about that.
I still snagged a snuggle.
Yeah, you still snag snuggles. You do, but that was a rough scene. And honestly, I'd thrown up between Supai Tunnel and the top. Wasn't feeling too much better by the time I got out, and then we drove back to the hotel, which is only 2 miles away, and I kind of had to let it all go again. Mm-hmm. So, man, the canyon will get you. Looking back on both times I've struggled on rim to rims in the heat, I think it's the cumulative effect of the heat. I think it's the exertion. I think Dr. Myers, who's the author, the co-author of Death in the Grand Canyon, he calls it like exertive heat stroke. So, not that I had heat stroke, but that's what you're heading toward because of the exertive part, the exertion that you're putting out on top of the heat. And man, unless you're just trained for that, or you're younger, or you're just built for that, that can really catch up to you. And I've discovered that really catches up to me because this time the symptoms were similar to what they were when I struggled a year ago and had an experience that I think was as close to dying as I ever had. The symptoms are similar. You get sick, you throw up, you get back to the room, you just want to lay down. Then the chills start. It's here come the shivers, and I'm freezing cold, and it's 80 degrees. What the heck's going on here? And then slowly you're recovering. By the next day, you're okay, but still.
I'm sure your body clock gets messed up too because you're trying to avoid being in the sun at the most disadvantageous times. So you're avoiding the sun. So you started what, like 2 p.m.?
Yeah, I started at 2.
And
so downhill in the hottest part of the day.
Right. So you normally go to bed at like 9 o'clock, and so now you're like staying up way later than you usually do, and you're exhausted.
Maybe. I mean, the adrenaline gets you through. I'm not going to make any excuses. I just feel like it's the heat, and people handle heat differently. And ever since I've gotten back, I've been making it a point, something I've never done before. I'm like, I'm going to get better at this no matter what it takes. And I've started to actually train in the heat here in Phoenix and going up there when it's 100, 105, 110 degrees to climb Black Mountain in the middle of the day, and just take different strategies, just going super slow and taking water with me, which I usually don't on that hike because it's only 2.5 miles round trip.
Seemed like those cooling towels
the
really
cooling
helped.
Towels, oh my, that if there was a revelation that I had during that 109 degree hike, it was that the Frog Tog cooling towel, the Frog Tog chili pad is what it's called, and it's made out of this like chamois kind of material, so it retains water, and it's cold to the touch like 2 hours after you put it on you. So there are a lot of places out there like that. I think like Mission that you find in Walmart, that's like the famed brand, but they're still made out of microfiber. So any of those microfiber cooling towels that you find on Amazon, they might work somewhere. They might work maybe in more humid environments, but in the dry heat of Arizona and then in the dry heat of the Grand Canyon, those things are dry within a mile of going down South Kaibab. I had a couple of those and they were just bone dry. And the Frog Tog was still, you could still squeeze water out of it.
And cold.
Yeah, and they stay cool, right? I mean, it's not like you're freezing or anything because it's still 105 degrees outside, but that coolness, that evaporative cooling on your skin, it makes a huge difference. And so I've learned in the heat training I've been doing since I came back from that 109 degree experience is that using a wide-brimmed hat all the way around and covering my head with the Frog Tog chili pad and then wrapping another one around my neck has really made a huge difference because I really haven't suffered the effects of the heat since I've started doing that, which I found to be, interesting because it's much hotter here than it was that day in the canyon. So I guess you can adapt to this, and Coach Arnie and I are going to do an episode on this at some point. Training in the heat, you can get better at it if you're in a hot place and you're going to be hiking the canyon in the summer, and you want to get better at it. You can do it. It kind of isn't very fun.
Just seems like it would suck.
It's not. It does. It does. That's why I never do it. I always hike. First thing in the morning before the sun comes up, and then I'll go back sometimes in the evenings when it's sunset. Beautiful times of the day, even when it's hot. It's that direct sun overhead that just kills you. But I feel like you can get used to it. So I'm excited to go back when it's 110 degrees in the canyon and give it another shot. I don't recommend that, but again, I've got a lot of experience And I've done this many times, and I feel like, heat mitigation, if that's the only thing I'm thinking of, I'm going to be okay. Hike wet, get in the creek. I got into Colorado when I was there. Submerge myself all the way in that water, which is 50 degrees essentially year round. Freezing cold. It was so cold, but it was so refreshing. And it kept me wet for a long time afterwards. So if you immerse yourself in the creek and you immerse yourself in the river and just get yourself wet every chance that you get, and just think about going slow and having a strategy for your heat mitigation.
Yeah, just don't hold yourself to that same expectation of how long it should take when it's 20 degrees cooler.
It's so true.
It makes a huge difference.
That's so true, because the one I did a rim to rim last year and I felt so good. It was probably 105 that day, and I started late in the afternoon. I was coming from the north side to the south side, and I got to Phantom Ranch in just over 4 hours, which is really fast for a hiker. And I was like, I'm going up north. I'm going up South Kaibab. I'm not going to go up Bright Angel because I've done it. I have the experience with it. It's dark. It was after dark, and I was like, I'm going to break my time. I'm gonna get that. I'm gonna be sub 7 hours. Getting up this thing, which for me is exactly. How did that go? Right, the exertion, the heat, it caught up with me and made for the most miserable experience I have ever had hiking out of South Kaibab. So yes, do not stick time goals on yourself. Do not hold yourself accountable for hitting certain times. Know that if you're going to hike in the heat, it's going to take a lot longer, and just
it's a different beast. It's a different beast.
Accept that and look around and just enjoy the canyon and enjoy figuring out how to deal with the heat. So ultimately you're successful and you get out in one piece and not leaving anything behind for the mules.
Listen to your body, not your ego.
Speaking of the mules, I told you that the next morning I was like, okay, you're taking the mule ride today. Zeena was taking the mule ride down from the North Rim down North Kaibab to Supai Tunnel. I was like, I left a little surprise for you somewhere between South Kaibab, not South Kaibab, somewhere between Supai Tunnel and the North Kaibab trailhead. So see if you can find it. Jokingly, you didn't, but you took a mule ride, and this was, if there's anything that illustrates how old school everything on the North Rim is, it's the mule ride, and it's the entire experience from the time we walked into the lodge to check you in. And there's an old cowboy.
Such a sweet man.
Yeah, an old cowboy in his cowboy hat, and there is no technology going on here. There's no computer. There's no iPad to check you in. Wasn't he like just
a piece of notebook paper,
just like it would have been in the 60s, 70s, and he's just writing names down, and that's how he's keeping track of everything, right?
Yep, absolutely. And make sure that you're there when the shuttle leaves, because they will leave without you.
Yeah. We found that
But no,
out.
the mule ride was a 10 out of 10 experience. So much fun. And especially for me, because I do have some physical limitations which make hiking difficult for me. And so I was finally, after being to the canyon so many times, I was finally able to go in the canyon and experience the canyon.
She was so excited going into that. This is how you bribe Zeena. Hey, you think you could go up and drive me around drop me off the South Rim and go to the North Rim? You could take a mule ride. Just lights up. And she was all about that.
And the animal experience.
And you got to see the bison too. So,
I got to see the bison.
I mean, you scored coming and going. Mm-hmm. But just so everybody knows, the mule rides, you can book them, I think pretty far in advance. If you call within 7 days, you're able to get a spot typically, which is what we were able to do. And the option that you chose, you could take a 3-hour ride on the rim.
Yes.
Or you could take a 3-hour, and they have shorter rides too, or you could take a 3-hour ride down into the canyon. Mm-hmm. In this case, from North Kaibab Trailhead all the way down to Supai Tunnel, which is 1.7 miles down. You get a good view from there. You get to see Redwall Bridge. And so you're down in the canyon. And like you said, for those that can't really experience hiking into the canyon, what a cool opportunity. And just, what was your mule's name?
Ronnie the mule.
Ronnie was so cute and so ready for you. And she did miss the shuttle because we showed up like 2 minutes late. And
they were so nice.
No, they were nice. So I had to drive her to the trailhead. Which is cool because then I got to take some pictures and I got to see Ronnie and I got to see what you were all about. The craziest thing I thought is when you guys started down is that the mules are not tied to each other.
No,
like on the pack mules that you see going down the South Rim, they're all tied up. But I guess the mules that carry the tourists down, so you're in control of that thing?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, Ronnie was in control. She just allowed me to be there.
She had some experience.
Yeah. And she was kind of the one keeping everybody in line because we were at the very back. So making sure everyone was moving forward. We had the guide up front.
Did they give you any safety like instructions or anything beforehand? I mean, what happens before you start?
Well, they asked if we had experience, and most people in my group said no. I have very limited, very small amount. So that's probably why they put me at the back.
But animals love
But
you.
Mules are a little bit more stubborn than horses, and they knew what they were doing, and they knew exactly what they wanted to do. Some of them like to take little snack breaks, and that was really the only holdup ever. But no, I mean, just being able to see the canyon and experience it on the back of a mule and have that connection, it was an honor. It really was.
What a cool experience. You go back and do that again, wouldn't you?
Oh, absolutely. I want to do all of them.
Would you go back into the canyon, or would you go on the rim trail?
Well, I definitely want to go back into the canyon again, but I would like to see the rim one as well. I mean, I feel like I've seen a lot of the rim just in the times when I've been waiting for you, killing time, driving around, exploring. So that's why I really wanted to go into the canyon for my first one. But I want to try all of them out.
Well, the ultimate would be going south rim, and you could take the mule down to Phantom Ranch.
That would be awesome.
Spend the night at Phantom Ranch, and then you could take the mule out, and I get to hike both ways.
That would be great.
That would be great. Unfortunately, that's the south rim here in 2024. The mule rides, I think, they're postponed because of the Trans Canyon Waterline project that's going. So I know there's a lot of disappointed people this year that have had their mule trips canceled from the south rim. But you can still go up to the north rim, and you can go as far as 1.7 miles down. They used to go a lot farther than that, but that's as far as they go now to Supai Tunnel. So 10 out of 10 experience.
Yeah, it felt very safe.
Yeah.
There was plenty of room. All the hikers moved off to the side, and I just thought it was awesome. Yes, 10 out of 10. Highly recommend. Will do again.
All the tourists, not the tourists, the hikers, all taking pictures of you?
They actually seemed pretty hot and tired.
Oh, yeah, that's true.
It was a hot day.
It was June.
I kind of felt bad. I'm like, oh.
That's true. Because I could tell you that if they're on their way up and it's June, they want to get the heck out of that canyon as fast as possible. We all do, no matter how incredible it's been. By the way, after I dropped you off, this was funny because the night before, which would have been only like 8 hours before you did the mule ride, when I was at Supai Tunnel and the water was on for the first time in at least 2 years, and I was so excited. So I was drinking out of the spigot, and as I was leaving, I was like, oh my God, there's a dude just laying out over here, just asleep on not even on the trail, just off to the side a little bit. No sleeping bag, no tent, no nothing, just curled up, on his side. And I saw it, I could see that he was alive, so I was like, all right, I'm just going to leave this dude alone. I mean, technically, you're not supposed to sleep anywhere on the trail if you don't have a permit. You can't sleep below the rim, but obviously, it happens. People struggle. They need to take a break, whatever. So, as I'm waiting for you the next morning, as I'm driving back to the hotel at North Kaibab Trailhead, there's this guy standing off to the side, and I could see he's just kind of waiting for something. And as we do, we're a community when it comes to Grand Canyon hikers. I was like, "Hey, dude, do you need a ride back to the lodge?" He's like, "Yeah, sure, okay." So he gets in the car, and it turns out that was the guy that I had seen the night before, who was sound asleep at Supai Tunnel. And I was like, "Dude," I was like, "What are you doing, man?" He's like, "Well, I made the mistake of just going from the couch to the canyon," which is his way of saying that he did no training. He showed up with his friends the day before to do a rim to rim. He made it to the 1.7 mile point on the north side, and he had to crash out for the night because he could not go a step farther. He was not trained for it. He was not prepared for what lie ahead. And his friends, I guess, kind of ditched him and finished before him and went to St. George. And so he was going to wait at the lodge for them to come back and pick him up, which, there's a lot of things I could say about separating when you're in a group in the canyon. It's really not cool. But I thought that was pretty interesting that I ran into the guy who I'd seen passed out on the trail the night before. So what an experience it was. And then when we came home, I think it took us 11 hours to get home because we took a wrong turn.
Gosh.
We took a wrong turn that took an hour added an hour to the drive.
From Jacob Lake because we had to get cookies.
Yeah, we had to get to, and then we took the wrong turn out of Jacob Lake, which is
just make sure that you have your GPS set before you leave because
as many times as we've done it, It's pathetic that we did this.
I know.
But that cost us an hour. And then when we got south of Flagstaff, there was a truck fire. And so we sat there without moving on Interstate 17 for over 2 hours.
Oh, yes.
People were walking
2.5
their
hours.
dogs down the interstate.
They had a guy in a wheelbarrow, and they were just running up and down the road.
Yeah. People making the best of it. But yeah, so it took us 11 hours to get home. It should have taken us about 5 or 6. But anyway, I digress. It was a great trip. It was a great experience. The North Rim, if you ever get a chance to go there, and if you're hiking south to north, let's say, if there's any way that you can spend the night on the North Rim, do it. Try to stay at Grand Canyon Lodge. Take in the magic of the North Rim. It's just a completely different vibe than you get on the south side. It is amazing. Or if you got to go the day before, let's say you shuttle up there and you're going to go north to south, get up there the day before and get up there with enough time that you can just enjoy it. Have dinner up there, walk around, watch the sunset. Enjoy that just magical vibe and get yourself completely psyched up for the next morning, because you're probably going to leave before sunrise, so you won't get to see it if you don't do it that way. Get up there early enough to enjoy the rim. Okay, so that's our experience. And I thought it would be nice to do a little Canyon Q&A while we got you here, Zeena. So you've pulled some questions that have come in, and why don't we do our best to talk about a few of them right now, shall we?
Yeah.
Canyon Q&A, baby. Let's go.
Canyon Q&A. I've got a question here from Brad. What's everyone's opinions on hiking poles? I'm a 45-year-old runner, Peloton user, but it's all flat here in Michigan. Seems like you would use a lot of upper body energy calories using them. Is it worth it to help the legs?
I'm laughing because did you just pull that randomly? Have you ever heard me talk about hiking poles before?
No.
Oh, brother. Sorry, everybody. Here I go again. Hiking poles are the number one most important thing that you can have as a tool in the Grand Canyon, outside of shoes and shorts and a shirt. They are so vital to saving your legs, especially on the downhill. And I've told this story before, and I'm going to tell it again. The first time that I did a rim to river, as an adult a few years ago, I went crashing down South Kaibab without poles. Did not know any better. Had never even given having poles a thought, because only old people use poles, right? So I went crashing down South Kaibab, and it feels so easy going down because you're going downhill, and that's the unique nature of canyon hiking is you go down first and then you go up. And by the time I got to the river, I remember standing down there, and I took my shoes off, and I was kind of standing in the river there enjoying the cold water, and I was like, you know what? My legs don't feel so good. They feel kind of beat up, and sure enough, that really hurt me on the climb out Bright Angel. I was doing
poor
the rim to
joints.
river. Yeah, and your joints, your knees. So and there are so many big steps. They're called water bars technically, but they're steps, and they can be 6 to 18 inches high. That you have to, when you're going downhill, that you've got to you step down constantly over and over and over again. And those put such a pounding on your knees and your quads, your hamstrings, whatever, everything. I mean, they just beat the heck out of you. So if you have poles and you can kind of just ease your way down a little bit, and you stick the pole into the ground at the bottom of the stair and then just kind of ease your way down, and now it's taking all that shock away from your legs. Well, that is going to pay off so much when you have to now do the hardest part of the hike and hike out of the canyon, because your legs are not going to be as beat up. They're not going to have undergone so much shock, and you've also got your poles to help propel you on the way up. It's just they're a no-brainer. If you haven't used poles before, don't worry. Everyone who knows anything about hiking in the canyon uses poles. Yes, some people don't. I understand that. There are some people who are built different. The trail runners, those of you who don't use them, I understand. But I think for the vast majority of us, the plotters, the average hikers, they will help you. So get them, train with them, and ultimately use them on your day in the canyon. It'll make for a better experience. What else you got?
I got a question here from Brant. Is it considered a rim-to-rim hike if you start on the south rim, hike South Kaibab to the river, then climb back up to the south rim on Bright Angel in one day?
That is technically a rim-to-river. That's what we call a rim-to-river hike, or a rim-to-river-to-rim. I can see why people call it rim to rim, because you're starting at one part of the south rim, going all the way to the bottom, and then going up to another spot of the south rim. But no, that is a true rim to rim would be hiking from one rim to the other, the north rim to the south rim, or the south rim to the north rim. No matter how long it takes you, it is a rim to rim. Some people like to argue about the semantics of what a rim to rim is. They'll say that a true rim to rim has to be done in one day, or a true rim to rim has to be done in one day. Baloney. I did my first rim to rim hiking from the north rim to the south rim in 3 days with 2 nights at Phantom Ranch in 1986 when I was 13 years old. In the days when you would fly across in a twin engine plane and land in a dirt runway on the north side, and be shuttled to the north rim, the North Kaibab trailhead, and then hiked down to Phantom Ranch, spent 2 nights there, and then hiked out on Bright Angel. That was in 1986, and I have never once thought that I did not do a rim to rim. What else are you going to call it? When you hike from one rim to the other, no matter how long it takes you, it is a rim to rim. If you want the designation, you can call it, hey, I did a 1 day rim to rim. There is a difference. It is harder. And certainly a rim to rim is significantly harder as a 1 day event than it is a multiple day. But if you hike from one rim to the other, that is a rim to rim. If you do a double crossing, that is a rim to rim, no matter what, no matter how long it takes you. And no, Brant, yours is a rim to river. Do a rim to river, and then once you complete that, I believe you are ready for a rim to rim. It's a great progression. A rim to river is a hard hike. It's still 16 and a half miles if you don't go to Phantom. It's still a hard hike. Yeah, but if you can complete that and feel good at the end, you are ready to do a rim to rim. So come back and get that baby done. Let's go.
Steve writes, my wife and I are doing rim to river in October. Down South Kaibab, up Bright Angel. The current question we are discussing is electrolytes. Currently, we have a 3-liter bladder with water and a 1 liter with electrolytes in it. Thinking about just putting electrolytes in the 3-liter bladder and having the 1 liter of regular water. Ooh. What are your thoughts?
No. My thoughts are, people do it different ways, right? Everybody's different. First of all, I would not want to carry that much weight, because they're talking, I think, about 4 liters of fluid, which is heavy. I don't think you need more than, this is my opinion. I don't think you need more than, I never carry more than 2 liters of water into the canyon because of the places that you have to refill and top off. It's not like you're going to be, you start with 4 liters because that's what you're going to have for the entirety of the hike. There are always going to be places to refill, whether it be the spigots, as long as they're not turned off or service isn't disrupted by the current water line project that we have going on in the canyon. But worst case scenario, you're going to carry a filter with you so that you can filter out of the creek, out of the river, preferably out of the creek, but so that you can filter, because there are plenty of opportunities to do that. So always carry a filter in the canyon. But in terms of electrolytes, I think the best thing to do, if you want to carry a 2-liter water bladder and then a 1 liter bladder that has electrolyte mix in it, I guess, that's okay. I could see that. I still think it's a little bit of a pain. I've gone completely away from doing the electrolytes in fluid because I'm tired. I got tired of the sweetness of the electrolyte mixes. And you know me, I'm a sweet tooth. Mm-hmm. I got tired of the sweetness of it and the mess of it and the stickiness of it. It just got too annoying. So I've gone almost exclusively to salty snacks, like crunched up potato chips or peanut butter pretzels, things like that. And I supplement that with salt stick fast chews, which are 100 milligram sodium tablets, essentially. They taste like lemon lime. They come in all kinds of different flavors. The brand is Salt Stick. They're called fast chews. And I'll just take a couple of those whenever I think about it. I carry them in the front of my pack in a little pill case, and I'll take those over and over again. And then also, I'll also bring electrolyte capsules, just some capsules that I found on Amazon that are also 100 milligrams, just to make sure that I'm getting enough salt and enough sodium. So that's what I do. I wouldn't want to mess with all the combinations of the drink mixes and just dealing with the mess and the hassle of it. And I definitely would not put that in my 3-liter bladder. Like I think they suggested, put it in. They're asking put it in their 3-liter bladder and have and then a 1 and have a 1 liter for water. No, if anything, you want to flip that, because you're always going to feel like or want to drink water. The electrolytes, you're not going to want to drink that as your primary hydration source. At least I don't think so. Would it work? That's not for me to say. I'm just trying to think convenience wise, and for me, it's the salt stick chews, and it's the capsules, and it's a 2-liter water bladder, and that's all I take. I will carry a soft flask, 500 milliliter, half a liter soft flask that I will carry in the front pocket of my backpack, and that is I can, if I want to bring some, like, sometimes I'll bring greens, like powdered greens, if I feel like, I just want some nutrition, or some juice mix or something like that. And I'll mix that in the 500 milliliter soft flask that I have. But I will not carry anything. No, I'm not going to mess with 2 bladders or anything like that. But to each his own.
Sarah asked, I'm planning on hiking rim to rim next week and had a couple questions. Are trail shoes a must? If I have fairly grippy road running shoes, would that be enough?
Oh, that's a good question. And I have experience with both. So when I did a rim to rim a year or so ago, I used Adidas Ultra Boost running shoes, and I thought they were fine. They were absolutely fine. Look, the corridor trails are well maintained. They're well groomed. There are places where you're going to slip, even if you're in boots or trail runners, because the gravel's loose and it's just going to happen in certain spots. But I found the sneakers to be perfectly acceptable and very comfortable. So I would say if you're comfortable wearing sneakers and they're grippy, that you'll be there. It'll be a negligible difference using trail runners. I use trail runners. I'm an ultra Lone Peak guy because I love the wide toe box. It does give you a little bit more grip at the bottom because they're trail runners. The soles are different, but yeah, I wouldn't hesitate to hike in sneakers again. Okay, next one.
Leanne asks us, if I do rim to rim in one day, do I need a permit?
No, that's an easy one. The only time you need a permit in the canyon is if you are planning to camp below the rim. And that would be at either Havasupai Gardens or at Bright Angel Campground, which is at the bottom, or at Cottonwood Campground, which is on North Kaibab. Outside of that, even if you're staying at Phantom Ranch, no, you do not need a permit to hike the canyon.
Robin writes, I'm curious what makes you choose North Kaibab to either South Kaibab or Bright Angel.
So north to south.
Versus South Kaibab or Bright Angel to North Kaibab.
Yeah, so the age-old question, north to south or south to north. This is one that we could do an entire episode on, because there are so many different answers to this. I don't think the route is as important as the logistics. The logistics of a rim-to-rim hike can be more difficult than the hike itself, and that's because of what we've talked about, the remoteness of the North Rim, how difficult it is to get there from the South Rim. A stone's throw away, but it's a 4 to 4.5 hour drive from one rim to the other. Very few places to stay on the North Rim. So it really comes down to where you're going to have your accommodations. Are you going to start on the South Rim, spend the night before at one of the hotels on or near the South Rim, and then hike to the North Rim because you were able to get a camping permit on the North Rim, or you were able to get a hotel at Grand Canyon Lodge or Kaibab Lodge? That's going to determine everything. Or is it the other way? Are you going to take the Trans-Canyon shuttle from the South Rim all the way around to the North Rim and start your hike from the North Rim and then stay the night on the South Rim when you get there? I would say pick the direction that you want to go and then figure out the logistics around that. In terms of the difficulty, I think most are going to say, and I will typically tend to agree, that it's a little bit easier going from north to south. And that's because it's 14 miles from the North Kaibab trailhead all the way to the river. And you're basically going downhill the entire way. And that's 5,780 some feet of vertical downhill from North Rim to the bottom. So that's a little bit easier than going the other way. And then you go basically straight up the south side, 4,400 feet up Bright Angel, or 4,800 feet up South Kaibab, which starts almost immediately the climb. So, man, but at the same time, we just talked about that. I just did a south to north. I love going up the north side. I think it's a little bit overrated when people talk about how much more difficult it is, because as I talked about, you're going downhill almost the whole way coming down from the North Rim. Well, while you're technically going uphill when you get to the river till you get to the North Kaibab Trailhead, well, the first 8.5 miles until you get past Cottonwood to Manzanita, you're gaining more than 2,000 feet over those 8.5 miles. But because you're doing it over such a long stretch, it feels more gradual. It feels almost flat the whole way. And so the climb itself, where you're really, going to work and going straight uphill, doesn't really start till Manzanita. And by the time you get to Manzanita, you're 5.5 miles and 3,600 vertical feet from the top. So, I think the difference in difficulty is negligible. So I would say pick where you think that you want to start and where you want to end and build around that, but be flexible enough to do it the other way if you have to, because the difficulty of the hike, it's going to be negligible. If you're doing rim to rim, you're doing rim to rim. And don't, please, I wanted to add this. Do not schedule a shuttle. If you have to finish on one rim and shuttle around to the other to get your car, do not schedule a shuttle, please, for like 2:00 in the afternoon, because you do not want that pressure of dropping into the canyon at 4:00 in the morning and knowing that no matter what, you have to be out of the canyon at a certain time in order to catch your shuttle and get around to your car. Please do not do that. I would schedule around that at all costs, because I cannot imagine the stress of never having been in the canyon before and having to hit a certain time when you don't even know what you're getting into. Your plans are all going to probably fall apart when it comes to what your time expectations are when you actually get into the canyon and start doing it. It's going to take longer than you think it is. It's going to be harder than you think it is. And you do not want in the back of your mind, guys, we got to hurry because we've got to be there at 2:00 or we're going to get stranded on the North Rim. That happens almost every day. Don't let it be you. So pick the direction that you think you want to go and plan as loosely as you can around that.
Well, that kind of ties into what Shauna asks in her next question. It's my 50th this year.
Welcome to the club, Shauna.
My bucket list is hiking the Grand Canyon. I'm trying to do it in late September. Can we do rim to rim in a day and still embrace the beauty without thinking we need to haul to get it done before midnight? I don't want to camp. Or should we just do rim to river?
Man, that's a tough one, because there are so many details that are not part of that question. How prepared are you? What's your preparation been? Do you think you're ready for handling a rim to rim? It's a tough one to answer, and because it's a tough one to answer, I would say that I would follow the progression that I recommend. If you can, and not everyone can because they live in faraway places and it's a one-time trip to the canyon. I would say if it's a one-time trip and it's a one-time thing and you're never going to come back, figure out how to do rim to rim. Figure out how to get it done, train, and it's going to take as long as it's going to take. And you're doing it in September. It's still going to be hot, so you're going to struggle and you're going to go through some suffering, and that's going to be rough. So, man, but if you're doing it one time, I would say figure out how to get it done. If you have the ability to, you live close by, or you're going to come back at some point, do rim to river, get a feel for the canyon, find out what the unique nature of canyon hiking is all about, get the confidence that you finished the rim to river, and now you can step in and do a rim to rim because you know what to expect. Not knowing what to expect on a rim to rim can get you into a lot of trouble, as some of our past podcast guests have shared. It usually comes down to a lack of preparation, and only you can answer the question of whether or not you're prepared enough to hike the canyon.
I wouldn't want that pressure.
No.
But I'm more of a meanderer anyway, so.
Yeah, well, if you're a meanderer, it might work more to your advantage. But then again, she said she wanted to be out doesn't want to be out at midnight.
Right.
Well, you got to be prepared for
pressure.
that. And if you're not going to be out at midnight, I finished at midnight a couple weeks ago, after midnight. And that was planned because it was hot and I was starting in the afternoon to take advantage of going down in the heat of the day, but then having shade and then darkness for the hardest part of the hike. And it still got me. And I'm experienced, right? So that's not necessarily going to happen to you, but it might, or it might be a better experience, or it might be a much worse experience. So if you can do the progression, because I tell you, going downhill, that's the the thing that almost no one is prepared for is that it's such a unique thing to start and go down for basically a vertical mile, straight downhill at the start of your hike, because every other hike you do, you're going uphill. You go up to the peak and then you come down, right? You climb the mountain and then you go back down the mountain. At the Grand Canyon, you're going down the mountain first and then you're going up. So you don't know how your body's going to react to that if you're not conditioned for it and you haven't prepared for it and you've never done it. Who knows how it's going to react, right? But if you prepare for it by maybe doing a rim to river, or you don't even have to do a rim to river. If you can get up to the canyon and go down on Bright Angel to the 3 Mile Rest House, or to Havasupai Gardens, or to Plateau Point when it's open. You don't have to go all the way to the river. Or on South Kaibab, go down to Skeleton Point, go 3 miles and then 3 miles back up. Give yourself, it'll give you a taste of it. And you'll see, it's like, oh, okay, now I see what I need to do, because that going down was tough. Yeah, that's what I'd say. If you can do the progression, do it. But if it's going to be a one-time thing, plenty of people do it. 99.9% chance you're going to be successful doing it. But take it very seriously. Do as much preparation as you can. Do as much research as you can. Be in the Facebook groups, listen to podcasts, and ask all the right questions. And I just think that confidence of being mentally prepared will carry you through if you ultimately do decide to do the rim to rim. And what a bucket list hike for your 50th. Mm-hmm. Go for it. Is that it?
That's it.
Oh, there was one other question. I wanted to address this because there was one other question that I got into it with some people on Facebook not too long ago, because somebody asked about using AirPods or using headphones when you're in the canyon. And man, you want to talk about a topic that gets people going, and I don't understand why. Because here's what I say to everyone. If you want to use AirPods and listen to music or listen to podcasts while you're hiking the canyon, I do it. I listen to podcasts. It's what I do. I feel productive while I'm enjoying this beauty. That's my business. It's my hike. It's none of anyone else's business. It's where the mantra comes from that we say every single show. Hike your own hike, okay? If you're playing amplified music so people can hear it, get the heck out of here. Go somewhere else. Yeah, that's not cool. Don't play music on your phones. Don't play anything on your phones. But if you want to listen to music or whatever, anything, that's none of my business. Put your headphones on, do whatever the heck you want. But I had people say to me, they're like, that's blasphemy. Okay, ha, 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 that's funny. I like that one. I had someone else say to me, he said, Brian Special, he's like, you don't get it. That's all the comment said. You don't get it. My blood pressure, if you could have seen it at that point, because again, that goes against the mantra of hike your own hike, right? I'm not bothering anybody. What do you mean I don't get it? We've built a business around this, right? We have nothing but a love and a reverence for the canyon, and we through Bright Angel Outfitters and the Grand Canyon Hiker Dude Show, we're trying to bring everybody, share that love and bring it and make everyone love the canyon just like we do. So to have someone who you don't even know come out and say, you don't get it, and it's because I do it this way. You enjoy the canyon, you're doing it wrong. Or why do people go so fast? Why do trail runners do what they do? They're not enjoying the canyon. It's none of anybody's business, right?
Absolutely. You and I both have polar opposite experiences of the canyon, and we both love it just as much.
Yeah.
And so it's not about that. It's about honoring the canyon, and honoring it is by doing it the way that you want to.
As long as you're not bothering anyone else.
Exactly.
As long as you're folling trail etiquette.
Don't let anybody tell you how to hike your hike.
No, just do what you want to do. And if it comes down to listening to music to get you up that last 3 miles of Bright Angel Trail, which can be absolutely brutal on just about everyone, put those headphones in, jam out, and go to work, whatever it takes to get you to the finish line. But don't let anybody tell you that if you want to wear headphones and mind your own freaking business in the canyon, that you're blasphemous or you're doing it wrong. It's like, okay, dude.
There's no way to do it wrong.
There's no way to do it wrong as long as you're not bothering anyone else. Mind your own business and hike your own hike, right?
Absolutely.
Thank you for allowing me to say that. That was my wife, Zeena Special. It's kind of crazy. A year ago, none of this existed. Not Bright Angel Outfitters, not the Grand Canyon Hiker Dude Show, not the Rim to Rim Pack, nothing. Sometimes we have to remind ourselves of that because building a business and a community is not easy. Things take time to form, just like the Grand Canyon did, right? All right, training tip time. Here's our resident exercise physiologist and canyon vet, Coach Arnie, on adapting to the heat.
This one's a really important one, following on our theme of it's hot. Because I know that most of you that head to the canyon in the summer, it's because you have summer vacation, your kids are off, and this is your time to go and create an adventure. But at the same time, it's hot, especially at the bottom of the Grand Canyon. So what do? How do you get heat adapted? Especially if you're from some area that doesn't deal with a lot of this stuff. Well, here are some simple things that we can do. Number one, how do you train for it? Well, you can get out in the heat, figure out somehow, some way where you can get in and do some heat training actually in the environment that, like if you're from Florida or Texas or something, like get out in that heat, deal with it, and let your body learn how to kind of struggle a little bit in the heat in a controlled environment. That's one way. Another thing you can do is for your canyon trip, and this is something that I came up with a few years ago. Now a lot more people are following it. I don't think I invented it, but it's change your schedule. I flipped the whole thing over and started going all night long and then finishing up early in the morning, and people would look at me and go, really? You can go all night long? I go, yeah, it's an amazing experience. Yes, there are some sacrifices. You're going to miss something. But you're also going to miss that heat. You're going to miss the heat, and that's the biggest thing here. But let's say that you don't do that. Let's say you want to try to figure out another way, follow the beautiful shade tracker and all the things that Brian is affording you. How about this? You can jump in a dry sauna. You can get in a sauna, and in less than a month's time of 2, 3, 4 times a week, 20 minutes in a dry sauna, you can get heat adapted. It works. If you get in the sauna, I promise you, it will make your body respond better to heat. It just works. All right. So that's another way you can do that. That's a simple hack, along with getting out in the heat. And if you're like Coach Arnie, you're going to flip your schedule and you're going to go at a different time in the summer, because the canyon's not going to go anywhere. You can always come back, and you can see other things as you come back. But I love you guys. I want you to be safe, but I also want you to have a wonderful, wonderful adventure. I love you, and I'll talk to you later.
Heat training is something we will make a full episode out of shortly. It's important stuff when it comes to hiking the canyon. Coach Arnie's contact information is in the show notes, and yes, he does want to hear from you. I promise. Okay, that's it for now. My name is Brian Special, encouraging you, as always, to go hike the canyon. Take that first step, embrace the journey, and when you get there, whether it's for time goals or taking your time, just hike your own hike and enjoy every step. And listen to your headphones if you so desire. We'll see you next time on the Grand Canyon Hiker Dude Show, presented by Bright Angel Outfitters.